I did not vote for Trump, and it's irrelevant in itself. That's just my opinion. This is how I'm dealing with it. When we woke up to the news that Trump won, I did feel like a trickle of dread, and I very quickly recovered because the dread is really coming from a lot of fear mongering that's going on. And also a lot of the fear comes from futurizing, which means you're not in the present moment, because in the present moment, as of now, we're okay, right? You have the roof over your head, you have the fridge full of food, you have your children who are good and healthy, and the first thing that I'm inviting you to do is connect to the present moment. And in this present moment, everything is exactly like it was so far, right? Will future bring some unhappy events? Maybe, but that would probably be the truth whether Trump won or not. Whoever would win, right? Because the future is always unpredictable, always uncontrollable. So, uncontrollable to like a great extent. So whatever media is saying is completely a fabric. Like, we don't know, right? That's just everyone's. And media loves to make us unhappy, and media loves to make us in fear. So that's one thing, right? Like, the first order of business is connect to the present moment and find your bearings. Like, right now I'm walking on the ground. The ground is solid under my feet. I'm taking in this glorious day with the sky that is still blue, regardless of who won the elections. The leaves are turning gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous colors, and that's happening regardless of who runs our government, I also should say a little disclaimer that I don't live in this country, right? I haven't for many years. As a US citizen, I feel a certain responsibility, and as I wrote about it, I vote and all that stuff, and I follow politics to a certain extent. But as one of my teachers wrote yesterday, I don't let anyone impact my sacred place within. And that sacred place within, I like to keep it as clean and peaceful as I can. And remember, that's like with everything that I talk about. Whom are we letting in, right? Whom are we letting into that sacred place within us? To whom are we giving up our power to be in peace, right? Whom are we letting hijack our well-being? Having said all that, one of the things that helped me get out of dread yesterday was, I know that my sister and my brother-in-law, with whom I just spent an amazing weekend, who were extremely generous as always to me and my children. One of my daughters was there with us with her boyfriend that nobody even knew. They welcomed him in their house and all this stuff. They voted for Trump. So although we may disagree on certain political issues, these are kind and normal and good people. So that also has helped me shift myself back to respect. And as one of my teachers also said yesterday, everyone gets to indulge their fantasy, right? Like, sometimes it's the Democrats who win and sometimes it's Republicans who win, and that's okay. And I'm not going to go into like character assassination of Trump, because I think there is enough of that being done. I looked at certain numbers where we see that majority of white men and white women voted for Trump, and Latina men. And that's an interesting statistic, because, it just shows to what extent America is still very much you know, with certain traditional values, perhaps religious, perhaps racist. And also, it was interesting because I've been following, one of the women that I follow who is like this really spiritual and, very progressively thinking woman who has a huge amount of following. She actually asked a question before the election, who was voting for whom? And I was amazed at how many people were saying they voted for, or they're going to vote for Trump, and why. So to me, that was the first indication that, wow, I really don't know. Like, and these are people who are following the same woman and admire the same woman that I do. You know what I mean? So what I'm saying is that I'm another you. There are points of disagreement and there are points of connection as well. So all these people who are following the same woman and admire the same woman that teaching as I do, had a different opinion of the candidate's value than I did, and that's okay. So this is what I'm coming to. I'm kind of like living my own teachings, which is there is no black and white, there is no red or blue. We're all a little bit of everything. I called my mom and she was jubilant. She was really pro-Trump. And when I asked why, she said, oh, because he's so good for Israel. And that fucking drives me crazy. It used to completely derail me when she would say this. But this time I was like, oh, that's interesting. And how is he good for Israel? I actually, instead of just freaking out the way I used to, I just said, well, I'm curious. I'm curious what she's talking about. And I saw how myopic and how primitive her arguments were. And I asked her, well, what about women's reproductive rights and all that stuff? And then she was like, oh, yeah, that's bad. So I realized that she never even considered that. She never even considered everything else that his win would represent for the world, for this country in particular. And I think that this is basically what's going on. I didn't call my sister. I knew she was busy working. I just sent her a message saying, do you feel relieved? Because I knew that she was voting for Trump. And she actually answered, yes, I actually do feel relieved. And then she volunteered, I didn't ask, that she was voting for one policy in particular. So basically, you know what? It helps me to realize that people who voted for a different candidate than me are normal, good people. Do you know what I mean? I know my mom is not a monster. And like I said, I know my sister and my brother-in-law, and we just spent a week with them in Sicily that was delicious. These are good, normal people. They're not monsters. So then it's like that phrase that I say, the more I respect myself, the more I'm learning to respect myself, the more I'm learning to respect other people. I cannot say that I know best of everything in everything. So can I allow that other people know better for themselves, It's again that point of it's not my job to change anyone. It's not my job to fix anyone. My job is to evolve and grow to the best of my abilities and to find that peace within, so that this is what I bring into this world. I'm one more or one less person going to war, whether it's with people who voted differently than me or with people who who disagree with me. Basically, it's everything that we talk about always. I'm one less person going to war because somebody chose something differently. And this is what I bring into this world. And so and I used to be actually of the opinion that I want to inspire people and I want to be the muse for other people. And now I'm like, that's not my job. My job is to be the best version of myself according to my values in my reality that may be very different from somebody else. And so this is what I bring into the world. And so even the fact that I'm that peaceful about this election results, this is what I bring into the world, and I'm super, super pleased with that, you know? Like, it feels in alignment, and I like myself in this. And this ultimately is what we're all after, right? We just want to like ourselves. We want to be the person that we're proud of being with, like representing, you know? I like that I'm peaceful. I like that I respect my sister, no matter how she votes. And that wasn't always the case. And I used to feel superior because she voted differently, you know? Because and again, like, she's in her reality and I'm in mine. And all these other people who voted, again, like, it's interesting to see the demographic. Who voted red, who voted blue. America is a you know, a pot of lots of different nationalities, lots of different people. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is I allow that my truth is not the truth for everyone. I allow that my opinion, it's good for me, but everybody else has the right to choose theirs. And so, and ultimately what I want to say about this subject to kind of conclude is that I so respect the democratic process, you know? I wasn't raised with that. As I mentioned in my newsletter, I was raised in a country where this wasn't exercised. So you know what? In a democratic process is the majority that wins, and the majority voted for Trump. And all I can do is I respect that, right? And then also, of course, I can also say that that's a huge lesson for the Democratic Party. I agree that they were very disorganized. They're viewed as elitist. They're viewed as completely disconnected from the regular working people. And because, you know, I've done some research and I'm interested to see what other people are saying. And the fact that all those celebrities endorsed Harris, you know, only shows how disconnected these celebrities, you know what I mean? Like, her association with celebrities maybe wasn't doing her any favors. And then also somebody whose opinion I trust posted something like an exclamation from a Latina man who said that he was just sick and tired of always being portrayed like a victim. Like, all these people who are like, oh, poor, you know, like all this demographic that are victims, like, people are sick of being victims. And they said that Trump didn't make them feel like a victim. You know? Listen, this is like, that's important. This is important. So I think, I think that Democratic Party needs to reorganize and needs to get their act together, and that also, you know, it's not only what people believed in and the policies, it's also that the party that lost needs to do some soul searching. And, you know, there's lesson in everything. It happened for a reason this way. This is another thing that I want to bring ultimately to this conversation, that it happened for a reason, and there's something that we're all supposed to get from that. So yeah, that's me. Let me know how all this, you know, how you are experiencing this election. Yeah, we may all have voted, you know, differently, and I think that doesn't mean that we're not united still, you know. No matter what we choose for ourselves, we can still see humanity in each other, and we can still be in a dialogue. And I think this country needs that as well, right? Instead of this like crazy divisiveness that's being, you know, that I'm witnessing now. We're all one human family, and we're all in this particular case, one country. And these are my thoughts anyway, for whatever they are worth. Just my opinion, just my human opinion from my human perspective, a single human. So yeah, all right, let me know how this lands. Huge kiss to all of you. Have a beautiful day, and I look forward to your comments. Bye everyone.